from our panel. But first, I want to go back to the Capitol because we have with us now Representative Monica de la Cruz. She actually delivered the Spanish language Republican response. She's a congresswoman from Texas. Congresswoman, really good to have you with us on BBC News tonight. We've seen some of the excerpts of your speech that you delivered. You talked about the border crisis. You talked about the economy. Tell us what stood out to you most from the President's State of the Union.
Look, what stood out to me is the fact that President Biden is so disconnected with the everyday American, especially the Hispanics in my district that live along the border. We see the border not being secured every single day. That he was disconnected with. Number two, Hispanic families along the border, like my own, we tend to have larger families. That means more mouths to feed. And when you go to the grocery store and you have mouths to feed and you see the grocery prices as high as they are, those are the things that are on America's minds, not EV electrical cars and climate change. It's gas prices and grocery prices.
Congresswoman, you said in your speech, the president says his policies on the border are humane. You say they're not humane. If you talk to some of your colleagues on the other side of the aisle, also Latinos, Latinas from your state as well, they would say that the policies that you and your colleagues on the Republican side of the aisle are proposing at the border are indeed inhumane, particularly for the Latino, Latina community. What's your response to that?
Well, look, what I see is under the previous administration, we had the lowest amount of illegal immigration in our nation's history. Now, under this administration, Biden's failed open border policy, what we see is millions of illegal immigrants crossing our borders. Why is it inhumane what he is doing by opening up our borders? Is because we see sex trafficking increase, women trafficked as well. This is simply unacceptable. Again, I live on the border. We hear the stories right from the mouths of these immigrants that are coming over, wanting to have the American dream, but they're coming through the back door. And through that back door, they have a very sad and ugly journey with the cartel that the Biden administration is supporting by having this open border policy.
So, Congresswoman, why not then take up the bipartisan package that came through the Senate that would tackle the crisis at the border? And indeed, we heard the president say in his speech the Conservative Border Patrol Union did endorse this package of measures.
Well, I would say, why not take up the package that the House already passed? We passed H.R. 2, Secure the Border Act, back in May, and this is a standalone bill. If you ask Democrats, Republicans, Independents, if they want a standalone bill when it comes to the border, you will hear yes with all three areas. The reason why is because they want a secure border, and they want that to be the focus. The Senate bill did not pass the Senate because it had pork. It had securing other countries' borders instead of ours. That's not what the American people want. H.R. 2, Secure the Border Act, needs to be passed, and President Biden should use the same executive pen that he undid successful policy on the border. He should use it to put it back into place.
You also, in your response, Congresswoman, said that Hispanics come to this country seeking security and freedom, and we are concerned that Biden is so weak with our enemies. What exactly are you referring to there?
Well, look, I come from an immigrant family, and my great-grandparents, my grandparents, they came over here for the American dream. And how beautiful that they get to see me in this position, in a position that is able to help all Americans. And when we see a weak leader like Biden do what he did, pulling out of Afghanistan when he first started his presidency and left billions of dollars of military equipment, he left our allies there when he pulled out of Afghanistan. Let's not forget the failures of his past. The world is looking. Never before have we seen multiple wars, not only in Ukraine, but Israel. We have China that's eyeing at Taiwan. We are in a very dangerous time under President Biden, and that's why he is a weak president.
Congresswoman, one more question before we let you go. Was there any common ground with the president tonight that you saw? Anything that you agreed with?
Well, I think when he said that we will stand by our ally Israel, we can all agree that that is a priority and that we need to bring those hostages home immediately, as quick as possible.
Congresswoman Monica de la Cruz, she delivered the Spanish language Republican response. Thank you so much for joining us on BBC News tonight.
Thank you.